Everybody, good afternoon. Lions fans here. Hopefully you had a good weekend out there, and this is Monday. We're getting ready for a new week here to talk our Detroit Lions. We're about a little over 2 weeks away from training camp, where it just never ends here for our Detroit Lions. So you're going to want to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, because other creators are going to be making content on here. It's only a matter of when the specific paperwork is done. They'll be on here, and then that will be really, really good. In today's video, we're going to go over the latest Detroit Lions news and rumors for you folks today, and a lot of bold predictions, give my thoughts on the bold predictions, and that's what it's all about. Let's go. Alrighty here, folks. Lions news here. It's my second video of the day as I'm feeling pretty rough. So we're going to do the best that we can do to get this to you. I'm definitely under the weather. We're going to get into start off Detroit Lions. Jared Goff egregiously disrespected in fantasy rankings. First off, this is fantasy football time. We're getting closer to where they're going to start fantasy drafts. So this is a good video for you guys if you're looking to do fantasy or looking for a quarterback here. Jared Goff rank is 127th overall player, which is the 18th quarterback. That's absolutely ridiculous. There's no God-forsaken way that Jared Goff should be the 18th ranked quarterback in fantasy football. I'm not saying he's the number one guy, right? Generally speaking, you want to go for mobile quarterbacks. That's what I do. And in that, but Jared Goff puts up significant numbers, so he's always going to be high in the list, always getting touchdowns, always getting big numbers. Why? Because his offense is great. So, look, if you want to take him as the 18th best quarterback in your fantasy league, I think you're crazy. If you'd like to get a deal and he's sitting there, I think you should take him. Honestly, when I look at Jared Goff or the rest of the fantasy players in this team, Jared Goff, I don't look at quarterbacks first. FYI, that's the way that I do. It's different. I'd go running backs first, and I look to see what running backs are out there, potentially wide receivers after that, and then I generally go quarterbacks. So, look, if you want to get a solid quarterback in Mahomes and all those guys that you always hear getting taken first is gone, Jared Goff is not a bad option to have as a starter quarterback or even as a backup quarterback. St. Brown is great to have as a wide receiver. Jahmyr Gibbs is smart to have, I think, this year as a running back. And Sam LaPorta is probably the number one tight end. So if you like fantasy football, the Detroit Lions got your back. But 18, absolutely ludicrous. Bold predictions here. I haven't even seen the bold predictions. He says, and the number one stands out. So there's 100 bold predictions for the 2024 season, and number one stands out. I haven't seen this list, so I don't know what the bold predictions are. Lions play in their first Super Bowl by Twentyman. That's a bold prediction. I think they're playing in their first Super Bowl as well. I agree with Twentyman. I think this team is solid, depth, and starting-wise. So if there's injuries throughout the year, in which we're going to have, you're not taking a significant downgrade. That means they're going to be in every game. You know, you're only outside 3 games out of the year with this offense. Yeah, I think the Lions playing a first Super Bowl. And look, it's not a homer take. I don't think it's a homer take at all to say the Lions are in the Super Bowl. I think if you're looking at the NFC, if you say San Francisco, Detroit in the Super Bowl, that's not really that bold. But, I mean, as a Lions fan, we think it's bold because the odds of the Lions playing in Super Bowls never happened before. So it's bold from that perspective. To have analysts actually say the Lions are going to be in the Super Bowl. It is pretty bold, so I agree here with Twentyman. And I think the Lions do play in their first Super Bowl. Again, unless some crazy injuries happen to any team, we're talking about losing your starter quarterback for the year, anything of that nature. And that goes for any team. That is always going to be the caveat for any prediction. Just like Aaron Rodgers lost to the Jets last year, the season was over. If that were to happen to, say, the Lions, that would be devastating. Dana Rodgers take a long road to the Super Bowl. Okay, they're saying taking the long road. Does this mean like going through, is it wild card? So mainly entertainers, I predict the Lions will head down to New Orleans and play in the Super Bowl without being crowned back-to-back NFC championships. without being crowned back-to-back NFC North champ. Okay, so Danny Rogers predicted the Lions do it as a wild card, and I wouldn't care if they get the Super Bowl through the wild card. I think we'd be disappointed if they got the wild card, but if you're in a Super Bowl, you wouldn't even care about that point. I think they win the NFC North, but maybe they do go as a wild card. They're a strong team. I hope it's the NFC North champions. Arnold wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. Editor's pick. That is that's a bold prediction for sure. Because he's a corner, but with that said, there wasn't even a defensive player taken, 15 or 16? So, dude, he has a legit shot to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's got to get a lot of interceptions, got to do what Sauce Gardner did, where it's kind of revolutionized. It's going to be tough because a cornerback to get that prestigious award is quite difficult. It's done before, obviously, a couple years ago with Sauce. So it can happen. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was. I think Arnold's going to be a great player, but it is still a bold prediction because he's a cornerback. What's a bold prediction for you guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Throw out a bold prediction. Let's continue on here. More bold predictions. Apparently every article decided to do that today. Why? Because there's a couple weeks before training camp, so we're still in the lull period. We've talked about everything. Content creators, whether you're writers or video makers, are in a world of let's figure something out. What is your bold prediction? It says Jahmyr Gibbs won't lead the team in rushing yards or attempts. That's a really bold prediction. Because I do think Jahmyr Gibbs takes a step over Montgomery, so I'll say that's pretty bold for him to not have it all. I think he will. At least 3 roster cuts will join a new team. That is extremely bold. But I've been talking about the Robert Woods thing from the Texans for a while. So you could see a situation where some of these players get cut and the Lions add him to the team. But 3, holy crap. I'd go with 1. 3, I think, is quite bold. That is a bold prediction to go with 3. So I'll go with 1. He goes with 3. Mine's Robert Woods. And it looks like here he's talking about an interior offensive lineman, which, for sure, right? If you're going 3, one of them could be it. Though I have him in my previously the men's roster, is far from safe. Yeah, Isaiah Williams. Okay, he hasn't making it. Let's see. Mekhi Wingo will get a starter-level snaps by end of the season. That's bold. I hope so. That means it was a great draft. Look, we had Broderick Martin last year who didn't do a whole lot of anything, and I wasn't upset about it because, it's development. Because this roster's so good now that you don't need to have rookies starting. This is what happens when you're a really good roster. And so if Wingo's starting, that means something's really good with him, and that would be fantastic news for the Detroit Lions. If you're getting another player who's a 6th-round pick or a 7th-round pick that's contributing like they believe here, I mean, this would be absolutely stunning. I mean, Brad Holmes is already the best general manager in football, in my opinion, of finding talent. He would just be adding on to just an absolute sick resume of greatness, and if he were to do that. So I hope this is the case. Let's see. Another one here. Detroit Lions stud pass catcher duo gets ranked highly among young NFL duos. St. Brown and Sam LaPorta, both young players, and they're getting, what is it? Let's see. Where were they at on here? And Detroit's duos ranked aside, and you have to scroll with so what, 3? It's looking like. Okay, I'm not upset about that. That's not bad. You're talking about a tight end and a wide receiver. Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. I'd say give it. That's a kind of a weird one. 2 and Jalen Waddle. The guy's always injured. Jalen Waddle. Don't know. C.J. Stroud, Nick Collins. C.J. Stroud, pretty much anybody. Yeah, because he's a really good player. But at number 4, I don't have a problem with that. Because generally speaking, it's going to be a quarterback. That's what you've seen here. Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and C.J. Stroud. Ours is not. Because, Jared Goff's 29. So they're going with everyone else is a quarterback player. Ours is wide receiver, tight end. They're both young, so I have no problem with that. Right there, right there. So I'm out of articles here, so let me just do a bold prediction to keep this time flowing here because I haven't done my personal bold prediction. What would be a bold one? Let's see. I have Jahmyr Gibbs as being known as the best running back by the end of the year. So that means he's really shown not necessarily have all the yards, but you look at him, and I think that my bold prediction is he will be known as the best running back in football by the end of this year. Is the number one. I already have him as kind of the number one running back. I could see the future of this guy. Again, unless there's an injuries, but man, he's just got so much to him. His game is just so good. He's not ultra small. He's got muscle on him. He's fast. He listens. He's agile. He has got everything to be an absolute superstar, and he does remind you of Chris Johnson. I remember watching Chris Johnson, just like how fast, and this guy just gets open, and he finds the holes, and that's what Gibbs does. He's an all-around back. And he doesn't just do the edge. He goes in between the tackles, and he's patient with the linemen. It's hard to find a running back of that skill set. I remember Javid Best. I thought he was really like that. Unfortunately, concussions ended his career, but Javid Best, he had that ability on him. It's like, oh, man, you could see greatness. And I look at Jahmyr Gibbs, I see absolute greatness in this guy. And so my bold prediction, he'll be known as the best running back in football by the end of the year. You may think that's not bold. I think it is. Because I have that much faith in Gibbs. I have that much faith in this guy that he's going to be a spectacular talent for the Detroit Lions. Folks, in the upcoming videos, we're dropping videos every single day. It's a couple weeks till training camp. There's going to be other content creators. Trust me, you're going to want to subscribe. If you're tired of hearing me, there's going to be other voices out there. And when I'm not feeling good, someone can just put a video on there and everything's going to be good quality for you. So smash that button so you don't miss out on the latest Detroit Lions news and rumors. Adios.